Chapter 14, Episode 14. John read the letter once again. He always missed Sally when she wasn't there. She was more often not there. Always on the road working. Now it looked like she would not come back. There wasn't much to the letter. It didn't say anything specific. He didn't know anything about her new job, administrative. Her partner did programming and she didn't even like having a smart device. She liked her work but didn't like to take it home or talk about it when there were so many other things to talk about. She hadn't asked him any personal questions about him. She knew where he lived and worked. He hadn't once gone out with her. She had never stuck around long enough to meet Rachel. So the professor speculated. It was either that or read some essays. Was the capital of Canada a clue? Why from the government? Maybe she worked for the Canadian spy organization. He didn't even know if they had one. Canada was one of those places that ended up on postcards. Maybe the news about one thing or other, especially if they legalized grass or made another pipeline to add to the Black Death choking the planet. There wasn't much else. They seemed tame in comparison to the States. Canada wasn't Switzerland. They went to war beside the States when they were called upon. They were sometimes there ahead of the States. Politically, they were a relatively clean country, even with the tar sands. The professor got stuck wondering about the tar sands before he remembered he wanted to look up secret police in Canada. Was their secret police so secret that they didn't even have a name? He checked the internet. CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and it was based in Ottawa since 1955. Is that what she was telling him? Sally was CSIS? Oh fuck, where's the focus on this? Sorry. He shook his head. She wasn't even Canadian, was she? No, she said Detroit and Washington. Even told a couple childhood stories about Detroit. He wasn't sure if he wanted to believe them. John looked out his bedroom window, pretending not to will her up the fire escape. He knew he had no business loving her, but like the fools of many fables said over and over, love decided who came together. He didn't believe it. Time and place seemed to be the key ingredients. Some people hit it off. Some were friends for an hour or a few days. Some stayed longer. He remembered when he was about Sally's age. He had some friends. They got together often, usually at work. There were the two brothers and a friend house sitting for a year. The friend came from a small island in the Caribbean. The professor couldn't remember which one. The two brothers from Korea or somewhere. He couldn't remember that either. He remembered the different things they got up to late into the night every Sunday. They would usually drink coffee, eat cookies and talk. Sometimes play a thing like balderdash. John loved that kind of game, making bullshit sound true. They even made a few big public parties, most of them after hours and not very legal. One night, Rob had the idea of a break and enter. It wasn't high risk. The place was closed down and handed over to the bank or the owner of the building. He still had the key, so it was more like entering without breaking. There wasn't much there. John found a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. Other than that, the cigarette machine and the pool table. He didn't want to be hanging out all night, so he took a crowbar and snapped the locks off the pool table and the cigarette machine. Cash, isn't coins, so was upward of $30. Cigarettes were more like 100 packs. They smoked the Player's Light and the Demorier. The rest were sold at the speakeasy. The professor tried to remember what he was wondering about before he was distracted by a few memories. Sally. She did crazy shit as a kid. Many kids did. But she didn't work for the CSIS. That was just a dumb speculation. He couldn't think of any other train of thought to jump on, so he picked up a story and started to read. Click.